The newspapers all said the coldest shit imaginable. Armageddon. The Post had even misspelled it, which made Artie laugh. He woke up and turned on his computer, pressed the double button on his impressive coffee maker, and scrolled the pages of his favorite smartass online news server, The Owl. Artie didn't like the news, but he liked smartasses talking about the news. "I know this one guy there," Artie said to his daughter Chessie. "I know that main guy. He's a drunk. He's always down there at the bar at night." He paused, clicking away. "Borrowed a smoke from me just last night." Chessie prepared some buttered toast at the sink, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep and a few too many nights down on the Bowery at those weirdo bars. "That's great, Daddy," she replied. Artie glanced across the room. She was too old to still be living at home. No job, taking drugs, and who knows what. It had been this way since her mother died. He shrugged and clicked away at the Owl. His daughter, 31, busty, huge curly black hair, stood there in a pair of zebra socks and a ragged t-shirt that said, "Fuck you, University." She slid in her socks over to the little Formica table by her dad, set her plate down, and pulled the vinyl red chair up next to him. "People were saying it's the end of the world last night, Dad. I'm getting scared." The bags under her eyes made her appear older than she actually was. She peered over his shoulder at the computer. What does CNN say? She looked so trashy in the morning, he thought. Her mother would explode if she could see her now. "Did you break up with Angelo?" he asked. "Daddy," she screamed. "No, I am not talking about this with you." Artie spoke her name softly and tried to calm her down, then went to make himself a cup of coffee. The buzzer buzzed. They were quite far up in a towering midtown apartment building, West Side. It wasn't Hell's Kitchen, but neither was it Lincoln Center. It was over off 10th Avenue, and they had lived there for Chessie's whole life, or more like Chessie's whole adult life, since she had stayed briefly with her ex-boyfriend Martin. He lived in London. Artie liked him. He had a job, and it didn't work out. Artie was a small man, late 50s, who wore house sweaters and had a Brooklyn street kid face. He was an old-school kind of guy. He liked sardines, he married young and served in the Navy. He liked to watch the late shows, and he liked his baseball radio programs. He also liked the ladies, and he loved to drink. Last night, down at Jimmy's Corner, he was sitting at the bar around 10 p.m. when he noticed the writer guy arrive looking a bit worse for the wear. A little shaky, a little worn. He slid up on the booth next to Artie and ordered his regular round. As usual, he pulled out whatever book he had with him, along with a stenographer's notebook and pen, but he was a mess. "Hi there, pal, I'm Artie. Never introduced myself. Figured what the hell, right?" The stranger looked over with an embarrassed smile and said, "Right, end of days, nothing to lose. I'm Alex." Artie laughed. "You're Alex Falk, and I'm a fan, sir." Alex winced. He slid his money across the bar to the barkeep, but the man slid it back, made a face like a hopeless shrug, and went back to reading some Jean Rhys novel. Also sitting there on the bar was a paperback of The Fountainhead. Alex saw this and felt his dinner coming up his windpipe from his little fat sandbar shelf of stomach hanging over his dirty khakis. "Excuse me," Alex said to Artie, and made his way to the bathroom. He unlocked the stall door and vomited up some mediocre mahi-mahi that the girl at the restaurant had said was to die for. He giggled drunkenly under his breath. When he returned, Artie was gone, but he had left a note. "Dear Falk, I have really enjoyed your self-loathing, asshole-ish work on the computer since I retired and started just drinking or staying at home with my back medication. I set you up for a few drinks. Have a blast before we all do. Best, Artie." Alex looked at the napkin and smiled. He was already feeling better since he lost his dinner. In a few drinks' time, he would be feeling good enough to drunk text his ex-wife and make his way down to the all-night porn outlet to purchase a vintage busty slut DVD to watch as he fell asleep on his college futon. Angelo was on the other side of town, looking out his window at a riot of evangelical Christians parading down the avenue. He had tried to call Chessie earlier, but the phone lines had been jammed since the missile defense system failed. They had expected to minimize the damage, with the Northeast only being hit by fiery hail. Turns out they had spent the year's full budget on internal investigations of voter balloting and a possible cover-up concerning the newly elected president's former business expenses. So NASA didn't have the funds to back up the wiring. Anyway, the Soviets had lied and had never even had a missile defense. We were fucked. Angelo lay wasted, drunk, with two women he didn't know. It was mass hysteria and mass screwing. Looting and rioting, too, but mainly people were just having sex and getting wasted. Most people wanted last-minute buzz. Pizza places were invaded by hungry middle-aged weirdos, and there were reports of fat people in the Midwest holding up fast food places, making the employees continue to prepare food until the last few doomsday hours. The whole thing just sucked in every major way. The rooftop of the Fitzgerald building was still and calm. A breeze blew across the relocated ferns atop this towering apartment complex. No one had thought to go up there and meet the day. Regardless, Artie had blocked the door with a heavy chair just under the handle. He brought up a six-pack he had been saving for a few weeks. He also brought up a plastic fork and napkin kit you get from takeout and a tin of sardines and mustard sauce. For Chessie, he brought up a picture of her mom, a bottle of codeine, and his handgun. As the sky grew a stranger and stranger shade of dark pink, Chessie grew tired of firing rounds over at the billboard sign and the empty glasses at the edge of the building. She wore a shiny silver dress and cherry bomb pumps with red lipstick. She was really, really high and was enjoying her PBR and codeine buzz. She and her dad chain-smoked menthol cigarettes and sat beside one another calmly. Chessie loved her dad. "I'm scared, Artie." Chessie clung to his coat, his arms around her as the fireballs rained from the sky. Artie hummed some song, some awful, annoying song, and as the world came undone and time stopped before them, Chessie tried to drown out the tune. Her eyes squinted shut as the buildings fell one by one onto the blazing molten lava avenues below. They were really screwed now, and it was beautiful.